Again. And good morning, everybody. It's good to be with you at CTE Institute virtually, thanks to COVID-19, but this has allowed more people to join in on these presentations, so we're excited to get started. And I see a full screen, so are you ready to go, Pam?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Thank you, Justin. Just so everybody is aware, Justin has been a part of this work that we've been doing in the past few months. He's going to be serving as our unofficial MC for this presentation. We have quite a bit going on. This is a new tool that we're introducing, and when I'm in presenter mode, I can't see the chat box, and so if you guys have questions or comments during the presentation, he'll be fielding those, and so please interact with us, or with Justin, I should say. But we're excited to get started. As you can see, we have quite a few people from the Tennessee Pathways team that have been working on this project. I want to give a quick but hopefully a big shout out to all of them. You'll be hearing from these 5 people throughout the presentation in some capacity or another. Danny Satterfield from East Tennessee, Sydney Tate from Southeast, Lori Burdine from Southwest, Kenderick Harris from the greater Memphis area, and as I mentioned, Justin Christ from Northwest. We have really taken advantage of our COVID-19 work from home time, quarantine time, and have really dived into this project. And we're really excited to not only share this with you guys, but also see what it can do in the next couple of years with Tennessee Pathways in general, and more specifically into the local areas. Our objectives this morning, I just want to give you guys a chance to read through this, but we will start with a brief overview of Tennessee Pathways, our pillars, the data and information from our 2018-19 Tennessee Pathways Certification application process. As you guys, most everybody is aware, our 2019-2020 application process looks a little bit different this year because we were supposed to have picked up the mantle and really gotten it started as schools were closing for the COVID-19 pandemic. We are picking back up in the fall semester, and so it'll look more like a 2020 specific application process. So this data is specific to our 2018-19 data. After that, we'll discuss the difference between transactional and transformative partnerships and everything in between those two, and how that helps shape the employer engagement assessment tool, what that means as we are engaging with industry partners and with partners in general. After that, we will actually introduce the tool and we will dissect it, look at the different parts, go through a few scenarios, let you guys ask some questions if they pop up. And then we want to close with exploring some long-range research opportunities, some long-range outcomes that we see with the implementation of the employer engagement assessment tool. But like I said, please feel free to ask us questions. We've got Justin monitoring the chat box, and we'll go ahead and get started. We do want to start with an audience check, and just about everything in the virtual world, I hope you guys will bear with us as we toggle back and forth between the presentation slide deck and the different things we have playing around with this presentation. So I will attempt to switch to a poll everywhere poll, if you guys will give me just a second. But we really want to learn a little bit more about who is listening in today. So be thinking about these questions. These are pretty simple. What region are you from? What role do you serve? And that can include, I know we saw a few people who are maybe not 100% in the education world, and that's awesome. We're so glad that you guys are here. But let us know a little bit about you and maybe why you chose to attend this session. And you can see up here, can I get a thumbs up, Justin, that you can see this? Perfect. So you guys can either use the link right here. If you have dual monitor set up, that'll be fun. But you can also text Pamela Sieffert 132-237-607 to get started. And we'll give you guys some time to get into here.
It'll be interesting to see where everybody's from. We've got about 67 participants on this morning, and I've seen a lot of familiar names. So excited to have you guys with us as we figure out where everybody's from, what your role is, and as we move forward in presenting this information that you can use in your districts. And you may hear a cat trying to get into my room today. I know this is weird times and working from home. So every time I shut the door, he tries to get in. So that's how it works. So if you do hear some meowing, I apologize. So you got some Southeast folks, Heather McIntyre, Keith Shannon's from East Tennessee, the East region, Southeast, Robbie Harrell's from East. We got Gabrielle is from Northeast. We got some Greater Memphis from Heather. Texting not working, so maybe we should move on. Collierville and Greater Memphis, Northeast, Murfreesboro and Middle Tennessee. So we've got a good representation here.
Do we want to try the second one and see if that's working? I'm not sure why it isn't.
Let's try this. You can also type into the chat what your role is. We've got a CT instructional coach from Renee Skelton in East Tennessee, principal Robbie Harrell, middle school STEM teacher, CTE supervisor, CTE consulting teacher, transitional specialist. So a lot of CTE folks at CTE Institute and STEM teachers, some principals. That's really good.
I was taking a look before the presentation, and it was nice to see some other state agency friends and some different organizations that I haven't interacted with yet. So if you're new to us and new to our world, welcome. This is a great example of technology not working the way you expected. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen here and flip back over to our presentation slide deck. Hopefully I get this right. Thumbs up, Justin, that it's the right one. Perfect. Okay. And as we go along, please share with us, you know, what interested you in this presentation, what you hope to gain from it. Again, any questions, comments, things like that. But we really wanted to dig into the meat of the presentation at this point, and talk about what we are, what Tennessee Pathways is, what we've been working on, what this first almost 2 years at this point has really looked like. And to start, we really want to focus in on what we consider our 3 pillars. We really focus on the advisement, making sure that students have high quality college and career advisement from that K-12 world all the way down to kindergarten, all the way through high school and beyond, really looking at what that means across an education career for a student. We also want to make sure that students have great early college and career experiences. So that can include anything like early post-secondary opportunities, specifically industry certifications as well, but also looking at work-based learning experiences. And we also want to make sure that we have some strong cross-sector alignment between our education, our LEAs, schools, pathways, and the post-secondary partners and industry partners. And really what the employer engagement assessment tool is looking at those three pillars that you see at the bottom, the early college and career experiences and the cross-sector alignment. What experiences, what opportunities are provided to students through our employer and industry partners, and how is the depth and the breadth of those partnerships really impacting students? How can we visualize that data to encourage other industry partners to participate with their districts, with their schools, with their pathways, and really create some high quality industry partnerships across the state to make it work locally, but also make Tennessee shine above others as far as industry partnerships are concerned. So just to give you a really quick rundown of what we have seen from the 2018-19 Tennessee Pathways application process. We had over 400 applications with 901 industry partners highlighted and included as strong partners, and 54 post-secondary institutions were also partners. From that, we had over 120 certified pathways across Tennessee. And through this data, we really noticed that our cross-sector partnerships, our industry partnerships, they almost run a fine line between being really good, but that also shows us that we have quite a bit of room to work. We have some really great partnerships that can serve as great examples to potential partnerships to elevate and create new partnerships. And so some areas of strength, like I said, we had applications who had incredible partnerships and in very innovative ideas, very innovative ways to work together. But we also know that we still have a lot of progress to make as far as encouraging partnerships across the state. What we want to do now, and again, bear with us with the technology challenges, but we want to see what some of your challenges may be that you see either in your district or in your community. I know we have more than just education folks on this call, but we'd like to see what are some of the challenges you face in partnerships or in work-based learning experiences and how you offer those to students. We've given these options. Ideally, we would have had this in the poll everywhere where you guys could select some, but since that's not working too well, if you guys will just share in the chat if you have if any of these are sticking out to you, local capacity, funding, administrative or legal blocks. All of these here, A through H, are items that we've heard from districts, from partners as being some of the more prevalent challenges when implementing work-based learning and industry partnerships.
Yeah, on the polls feature on CTE Institute, our top issue facing partnerships and work-based learning experiences right now at 29% is transportation issues. Coming in second is funding at 18%. And that's about to change because it's updating. And then third right now is education knowledge about partnership opportunities. And then also local capacity and administrative or legal blocks right now. So I'm gonna let this refresh and update, but that seems to be a big theme.
Thank you, Justin. So as we go through the remainder of our presentation and sharing the employer engagement assessment tool, I want everyone to think about how this tool could help start these conversations, could help dig into other partnerships across the state as examples to bring back to your district and talk to your industry partners or potential industry partners through some of these issues. And keep in mind, the Tennessee Pathways team has 9 regional coordinators across the state based within those ECD regions. I know a lot of our CTE directors know this, but if you are new, like I said, our team is here to help. And we can help use this tool, use this conversation to move the needle through some of these common issues that we see. I am now going to turn it over to Danny. He's going to give us some great insight into how we used that transactional to transformative partnership terminology and information.
Thank you, Pam. I hope you guys can hear me.
You can.
All right, so my video isn't working. I can't come in. That's okay. If you can hear me. But as Pam said, we were really looking at our applications and the information and the data that was provided for us through the 450 applications. And we immediately realized that we were looking at a really good set of data and how we can peer into what happens in our schools and our partnerships every day. And we started looking at leveraging that data so we can learn about best practices, innovative ideas, but also how do we use the data to improve opportunities for students in the state. To the point earlier, education knowledge about partnership being one of the themes of some of the issues that that really drove us to look at how we can quantify, how we can qualify, and how we can set this up in a way that we can put this back out to facing to the community, to the education community to improve. And here you can see that we've done that through working these descriptors that we've been working with for really the past year. Last year we worked with a partnership with VIAC, TSAC, Ellen Boley, the program director of District and Post-Secondary Partnership Pathways, and Molly Knowlton, the grant manager of College and Career Readiness. I've done a lot of work on how do we analyze partnership secondary using the transactional to transformational and kind of what that means. We also wanted to look at what's in between there, what's in between transactional and transformational in the sense of continuing. How do we move up and down from those two descriptors? And you can see here that we've really done a lot of research and a lot of looking into what those are and really trying to dive into the terminology that really captured what we were looking at and in a way that made sense. So we go from the transactional emerging partnership, and really you can see here on the slide that this is new. It's still in development. This is usually something that happens when you first start with your relationship. It's transaction focused, meaning, you know, I do this and you do this. And we really looked at the term connectors here because this partnership is really connecting students, teachers and schools to industry partners in that way. Just awareness type of things. And then we move into contributing partnership, and this is investment focused. We'll get to investment engagement here in a second in a tool, but this is partners that really are supporting schools, not necessarily in the amount of time that they're spending at school, but donations through monetary investment through various other avenues. And they're really supporting the schools and the students that help that workforce pipeline. And then you see the committed partnership. This one's the engagement. This is the time. You know, they're impacting a variety of students and they're serving as advisors. Not only connecting students to these industry partners and work-based learning opportunities, but also helping them filter through some of those best choices, you know, what fits me best, and almost a mentorship avenue. And then the final is the transformational. This is This one takes time to develop. Some of you guys might, if you're thinking about some of your relationships already, that you have some of these, all of these capacities, but the transformational evolve takes really altering how industry and education is working with the students. It's centered around getting that student to the next level, whether that's post-secondary career or right into the career. But it's definitely giving them those experiences that they need to be successful. And we see these as a champion type of relationships, really have an impact across a wide variety of students. So we move to the next slide. So to do that, we really wanted to look at the work-based learning spectrum. This, again, from work last year with Matthew Spinella, the Director of Work-Based Learning and Industry Engagement with the Department of Education, and Zachary Adams, who's with Pathways, but now is the Director of Post-Secondary Coordination of Alignment at CVR. They put together a spectrum of work-based learning experiences that we were able to kind of look at, and really pulled it into 4 broad categories that you can see here on the left. Career awareness. Go back. We see career awareness, career preparation, career exploration, and career training. In those 4 buckets of work on how we can separate those experiences, look at what we could potentially do to quantify them in a way that is meaningful, so we can have better and stronger conversations around them to not only identify them, but what are ways that we help make them better in all of those. Next slide. All right, and here is that worksheet, and we did kind of rearrange it a little bit to kind of fit to the tool and to fit to what we were trying to do. So if you look at this, this is actually building on itself in both investment and engagement. So again, investment, we're looking at monetary investment, we're looking at time, we're looking at what is the industry actually doing that has cost to it. And it will build from that career awareness all the way up to that career training, from a guest speaker to mentorship. There's a lot more investment monetarily and otherwise into that. Engagement is really looking at how much time you're spending with a student in really a meaningful way, from large group type of activities or general activities to very specific training and a lot more time involved around it. So this work-based learning spectrum with these experiences have been rearranged to build on each other. And you can see that we've looked at how much time, and these are minimum times. So certainly we know that certain industry partners time into this. We want to look at minimal times for effectiveness. And that led us to how we could quantify it and give this a scoring system where the tool actually works. So we're looking here at a scoring system, and this was built off a lot of research. So much so it's very difficult for me to really go over it in the time slot that we have here. If you have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to Pam, Sieffert. She'll direct you to the research and how we come up with these scores in far more detail. But what we really wanted to look at was what is the monetary and time investment that these businesses are doing with each one of these at a minimal level, so they would know exactly what they're putting into, but also what they might need to put in if they wanted to do another one. And we were able to score this out in a way that separated them so we can give it a quantifiable, measurable impact. And then you can run these to work-based learning numbers. You can run these to what's actually impacting the students. And these 16 categories that you're looking at have really been vetted through research to be highly impactful to student outcomes across the United States, United Kingdom, and other areas that I found information. And so we were able to quantify it in a way that we feel really confident that it's capturing what's going on and what that minimum investment is. And that led us to the next slide, we developed this matrix here. I think I share my screen.
Yeah, try to share yours, and if not, I can stop sharing mine and flip over to you.
Okay. This will stop the screen.
Okay.
Hopefully you guys can see my screen. Tell me if you're looking at where engagement.
There we go.
Awesome.
And as Danny is really getting this set up, I do want to reiterate that we did a lot of research into this tool. What you guys won't see are some of the statistical and empirical data analysis that we've done. And so if you have questions on how we got to those numbers and some more descriptive explanations about this work, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. We can also, the contact information is at the last slide, but we're more than happy to share this information into greater detail in one-on-one style settings. Back to you, Danny.
And absolutely, she's correct. So to look at some of what those scores were driven from, I'll start here. This is where we're looking at engagement and investment. And real quickly, just to give you context, we based this off a 40-week school year with some kind of give or take with breaks. Summer work-based learning opportunities still exist. But we didn't do it for a full year because we wanted a lot of these just happen in that school year. And we took through research and come up with estimated minimum times and minimal investment. And that investment's either through the sending that employee and the amount of money that you would have to pay that employee per hour to talk to schools, travel time and things like that, all the way up to, as you can see, the apprenticeship here. And this is like a minimal investment for basically one apprentice. And we look at the average salary of apprentices across Tennessee currently. That's just in the 26,000s off the top of my head, something like that. But you add in the employer costs to insurance and things like that, and you add in the time that individuals spend through apprenticeships educating, and you can see that we now have a minimal time and dollar amount in investment that matches to that sheet.
Hey, Danny, do you have that? Are you currently on that portion of the worksheet where it's showing?
I am. Is it not showing up?
That part's not showing.
Okay.
But if you want to flip to actually using the tool, show this as an example, and then flip to our master list real quick. I think that would be awesome.
See that? Or is it still just I'm flipping through.
We can see the scoring tool.
Okay, I'll just have to stay there. So again, going to the
your mouse is not it's not moving on our screen, so I don't know if you've got the full one up.
Did it just change to example 1?
No.
I don't know. It may not be letting me.
Can you stop sharing your screen? I'll pull it up on mine.
Sorry about that.
I never realized how much broadcasting experience you need to run a Zoom webinar meeting for a CT Institute. Thanks for your patience, folks.
Justin, what are you seeing?
I'm seeing your screen, Pam, and it looks like you've got the tool move and it's moving, so that's good.
Perfect.
All right. I'll talk you through this, but what Pam's looking at here, if you scroll down, just going back to that experience breakdown. Over on the left here where we see the time and the monetary value, that's what we were looking at. And then we rank those based on time, on least to most, and then we assign that score through that to match the screen. Again, you're looking at, we pulled data to make this viable and validated. All right, so if we go to the scoring tool, here's where I really want to show you, and if we can clear that. You can see that immediately once Pam cleared this, that it graph reacted. So we're really looking at that emerging, committed, contributing, transformational in this matrix to kind of start plugging in some activities. So the example one, I really want to show you what does an emerging partnership look like. So if you would click guest speaker, then career fair, and then a job shadow. All right, so these three activities, these are very important, and I want to really emphasize here that all activities with students are important. So this is not necessarily a hierarchy of, this is lower. Whatever the employer can do to engage with the student is contributing to an awesome experience from the student that can lead them into the careers, and that's what we're here for. Right? As a teacher, when I was doing it, I did it to really try to help the students, and it's no different now that I'm in a different field, and all of us are in this experience. We want to do something that's meaningful, that's really going to help the students reach their dreams, and as employers are engaging with that, all engagement is going to contribute. So I really want to reiterate that even though this is emerging, transactional, it is highly important. However, when we're looking at quantifying it, what is the impact of each one of these things? So this, you can see a guest speaker, a career fair, a job shadow. Those are really things that are career awareness type of things where it's really getting the student to see what the options and availabilities are. So that you see it quickly comes here. To look at the contributing partner here, all right? So you've got, go to donations. So we have a contributing partner. This is an older model.
That's fine.
So this employer here
is, as you are entering in this information, this moves across the matrix. Danny has the most updated one because we are still fine-tuning this tool. The donations one, we wanted to include that. That's not typically on the original or on the typical work-based learning spectrum charts. It's not something that necessarily engages students, but we recognize that that is a very important and very widespread way that industry partners are initially engaging with our pathways. And so we wanted to recognize that that is still very important to the overall moving the needle of industry partners. And Danny, just on time, I'm going to go through a couple of examples just so people can see how this moves. And I'll also show our master list. We have about 10 minutes left and we still have a few more things to get through. But I wanted to give you guys a brief overview of what this tool can really do. And so you'll see, as Danny mentioned, these three are probably the three most popular or most prevalent experiences across the state, at least from what we have seen in our Pathways applications. I'm going to leave donations there just to keep that point value there. But thinking through, if you have an industry partner who is interested in doing a little bit more but unsure of where they want to go, the next best thing from a job shadow or another item that's similar to job shadowing that they can easily tack on would be workplace tour. You can see that needle moving. But let's say that they really want to dig in and offer something like paid work-based learning experiences, or they really want to be that transformative partner. How can they get there? A lot of times it is these last three that will really move that partnership to being highly effective and highly influential for students, but it also pulls that into that transformative matrix and the transformative experience. So you see automatically the paid work experience pulls us into the transformational side. And then I'm going to go ahead and click that off. But let's say they want to go big, I guess, as we would say in Tennessee right now. Apprenticeships is very, it's really starting to pick up some steam as far as conversations go and looking into the opportunities there. Let's change that the paid work-based learning to apprenticeships. And you'll see it moves even further up. And as we continue to add, you'll see if we were to add more on this experience side, you would see this move up further and further. And so what we have done as far as Tennessee Pathways, we've gone in, and you can see at the bottom of my screen, we have evaluated every region, all 9 regions, and what these look like. Let's see, East is a really good example. So you can see here the different employers who are listed in this matrix. If I can get all the way over to our master list, that seems to have disappeared. So bear with us. The master list is not on this particular tool because I pulled it just out of time's sake since Danny's wasn't working, his computer wasn't working just right. But in a master list, we have all of our 9 regions coming together. And what you'll really see is this diagonal curve, essentially. It's not really even a curve, but this diagonal representation of our employers is the same as we pull in all of our employer partners. And we are really focused in on this area as far as the state, right in the middle between all of these. And so it really does show a good health of the programs that we have across the state. And it gives a great example for partners who are wanting to come back in or get involved. We will be working on putting this live on our Tennessee Pathways webpage so people can see the master list, but they could also play around with the tool and do their own evaluation if they want to. And this will be available through our Pathway Regional Coordinators to come and have conversations based around this tool, based around evaluating what you have and moving the needle, moving our partnerships to this transformational quadrant of our matrix. What I'm going to do is flip back to our presentation slide deck. Let's see if that worked. I think it did. Sorry, I am trying to be very cognizant of our time. We only have about 5 more minutes in this session. What we want to do next as far as using this data tool, moving the needle, both locally and across the state, these are the 4 items that we're really going to focus on with this tool. Initial findings of the employer assessment tool, like I said, it's going to be featured on the webpage. We want our regional coordinators to be able to leverage this tool in conversations with potential and expanding employer partners in communities and districts. But we also want our partners in other state agencies and organizations to be able to leverage this tool on their own to potentially bring in new partners or expand businesses. And again, we want our districts to be able to use this to assess where they are, but also move that needle. I really wanted to dig into how we can use this tool and what our regional pathway coordinators will hopefully be able to do as soon as we can all intermingle back with one another in physical settings instead of virtual settings. What we want to do is use this tool, like I said, have that conversation with community partners, but then we don't want to stop there. We want to give our communities the resources they need to move, again, I've said it a lot, but move that needle from offering those 3 popular, the career fairs, the job shadowing, the interest interviews, the guest speaking. We want to move them from that to offering the paid work-based learning experiences, the clinical internships, the apprenticeships. And so this is where the rest of the team has really dug into the work. You've heard a lot from me and Danny, unfortunately, for the majority of this session, but it really has shined through the work that our other team members have done in creating documents and resources for districts and community members to use. And I'm going to flip through that, and I want our team to explain very briefly what this is and how to use it. First is developing work-based learning partnerships. So you got that brand new partner, you want to move them into actually a spectrum of work-based learning. And Derek did the bulk of the work, bulk of the research on this. Derek, do you want to share real quick? Can I? Oh, there we go.
Sydney?
Yes. Hey, Pam, sorry. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Real quick. Awesome. So Derek and I both had work-based learning experiences, but he had paid and I had developing new experiences. And 45-second pitch. Essentially, we're just looking at those 4 categories that Danny talked about: awareness, exploration, preparation, and training. And we're showing industry partners that there's not just work-based learning as like an apprenticeship. You know, we all know the A word's scary, but it's an umbrella. Get the students in the door, engage them in any type of career activity so they understand just everything that's out there. And I think we all agree and we all know that there are so many different benefits to work-based learning experiences for students. So we made these one-pagers to really just put everything into one spot. So instead of scaring away our industry partners after going over a tool with them and showing them that their needle is very, very low on the spectrum, we provide this one pager and we're like, but you can do, 35 different things in a school year to help your students. And it's really not going to cost you that much. Your time's going to be minimal. So we wanted to put everything in one place for you so that you feel confident when you approach industry and move on to that next step. So, all right, that's my 45-second pitch. On to the next.
Thanks, Cindy. And what you guys will notice throughout these one-pagers is that we have these contacts and resources at the bottom. And this is really one of the things that we hear a lot is, who exactly do I contact for help with this? And so we wanted to give a very all-encompassing go here type of landing page.
Yes, and so for paid work-based learning, our intended audience was for inquiring industry partners or anyone that is currently engaged in industry partners wanting to expand student opportunities. So I wanted to really focus on the types of work-based learning, whether that's a co-op, an internship, or apprenticeship. And we, like Sydney said, we don't want to scare any employers away. So we wanted to show them how easy it could be to potentially have a work-based learning experience offered to students. And I'll stop right there.
Thank you, Derek. And thank you guys. I know we're crunching time right now. Clinical experiences, this is really focused in on our health science folks and how specific and unique clinical experiences can be as far as the policies and requirements necessary. But like I said, this gives the very general overview, how to get started through clinical experiences, contacts and resources here. And finally, apprenticeships. And Sydney used a very apt term for this, the A word. I think it is, like I said, it's very popular in conversations right now, but it can be a little daunting. And so we wanted to shine some light on this as well. And Lori spent some time really digging into this. Lori, can you speak?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, apprenticeships is really the buzzword in the state of Tennessee, as well as on the federal level. There's lots of opportunities for grant money, state and federally, and apprenticeships are employer driven. So it's really not something that you can go into an employer and say, hey, you're going to start this. They really need to be on board and bringing you in. So because apprenticeships are successful when they're employer driven, and don't really think it's out of reach. We have apprenticeships in Dyer County and Lake County, our smallest and one of our poorest counties. With Amtech, it's an electrical apprenticeship. Valmont and Marion County has a pre-apprenticeship that's very successful with their students. And then of course, Gestamp is the golden child in East Tennessee. They have the first registered youth apprenticeship. So it's not out of your reach. There's lots of resources. We have regional labor directors as well as the pathway coordinators that can help you through that.
Thank you, Lori, and thank you guys. I know time is crunched. In all reality, we would love to have had an hour and 30 minutes to really go over this. But the good thing is that we're not done with this yet. The big push for this, what we really want to see with this tool, is to have these smaller conversations, these one-on-one conversations within all of the pathway regions and within our districts and communities, and really show them this is where you are. If you want to move, these are some steps that you can do to move, and here are some resources. And so I want to leave you with that statement that this is not done. And if you have questions, if you want more information, we're happy to share it. We're happy to engage you and anyone in these conversations. These are the best points of contact. This is the whole team that worked on this project. You can contact any of them. You've got their regions there. So if you want to work specifically within a region, we also have all regions covered. And I will stop rambling. The keyword is caramel or caramel, however you say it. The session code is there too. Thank you guys for being patient as we work through the technical issues, and thank you for staying on for 3 extra minutes. Big thank you to my team on working on this. It's been a wonderful experience doing this with you guys. So thank you all. Hope you enjoy the rest of Institute.
I say caramel, don't you?
I don't have a preference.
Caramel.
Caramel.
It's like Carmel. It's like Carmel, Indiana. C-A-R-M-E-L. Caramel.
For spelling purposes and for everyone, it is caramel.
There you go.
On this session. And I will leave you all with that. I just hit the end button, right? Oh, no. Bye, guys.